So we have
Yeah.
also the 2024 software, 2024.27 software update, which introduced Audible and Apple Music. Last
Yep.
week we talked about it, kind of prefaced. And this week we actually have it. I got mine maybe like the fourth or fifth wave. You've had it for, I think
Yep.
you got it way before me.
I think I got mine the second day it was out.
I got mine the third.
Well, and the interesting thing is, and I couldn't figure this out, and neither could Jose from Rivian Tracker. So when you purchase or when you subscribe to Connect Plus, you get priority downloads, right? That's one of the perks of it, which means that you get the update before everybody else, and you don't have to connect your vehicle to Wi-Fi. So I subscribed through Rivian.com the first day that the update rolled out. The next day, as I'm driving back from my office, I was crossing over the Golden Gate Bridge, and I got an email from Electrify saying that the download had started, and then I did the install that night. So for those of you who either don't follow me on X or know anything about me previously, or I might have mentioned it. No, I didn't. My background is in audio engineering. Like I have my degree in radio and audio production. Although that was 20 years ago. You never lose it. So to me, this update was huge. Not to say so. My R1T is a 2023, so I have the Meridian sound system because it's a launch edition, and I thought my sound system sounded great. Granted, compared to my Tesla, which has been tuned over 10 years, 12 years, whatever long it is, it wasn't as good, but it was still good. And I did discover that if you do have the Meridian sound system and you haven't had the update yet, or even now that you have the update, if you leave your EQ flat, it is pretty much perfect. The way Meridian tunes their sound systems and like tunes their sound systems, the way that like they are configured from Meridian, their reference quality. So you don't want to add any EQ to your sound system because it's basically perfect because it's how the song was mixed and mastered. If you want a little bump, then you can. I recommend rock, like the rock setting on the EQ. But yeah, so the Dolby Atmos / spatial audio / whatever you want to call it in this update is phenomenal. Even songs that are not Atmos encoded sound great. A lot of people have noticed, including myself, that the sound stage is now louder. So generally, when I would be sitting parked in my car, my volume I would keep it at like between 10 and 12. Now when I'm driving, 10 and 12 is like loud. Like I can roll down the windows and maybe have to put it up to like 14 on any Atmos encoded song, which is insane, and it still sounds great. The spatial audio, the separation of all the channels and all the tracks is phenomenal. It's basically outside of the fact that you can't move your head and then have it follow you around like you can with like your AirPods. It's as good as having your AirPods in. Like it is just they did a fantastic job on this. And the awesome thing is too, it's not just in Apple Music right now, it is also in Audible. So Audible does have spatial audio books and I guess kind of like radio dramas as well. So their spatial audio, I haven't tried that out yet, but I have tried it like on my AirPods, and basically I'm expecting basically the same thing. So that's pretty awesome. It's not available in Tidal yet, spatial audio. The speculation is, because I've seen this posted a couple times on Reddit, is that Rivian software is using an older version of the API to pull in the data from Tidal, and all they have to do is just update the app. So hopefully in the next update, or a couple updates from now, we'll get spatial audio in Tidal as well, because that'll just be phenomenal, because Tidal always sounded better than anything in in the R1T or even the R1S I've heard as well. So that'll be awesome too.
I'm looking forward to seeing how Tidal compares with Apple Music, but it allows people the option to not have to switch and just want to keep their Apple Music. But as you were saying, you said it perfectly. It it almost sounded like studio like to me, like not even like a concert, but like you were in the studio when the song was made. And so there's maybe a drum here and the voices coming from here, and there's just different sounds. And then of course Spotify just sounds like that unified sound, that unified song, versus Apple Music, it's really just, everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just separated into different speakers, and it's really nice. Now, my issue, and I'll release a video about this on my own channel. My issue with Apple Music had to be the app itself. Apple Music is great. I think I'm not maybe the biggest audio person. You can tell that by the last episode's microphone quality. But I I don't think I'm like
Wasn't
the
that bad.
biggest. Yeah, I feel like it was horrible. This is a lot better, thankfully. I don't think I notice. I can hear the difference between Spotify and Apple Music, but it doesn't really make a difference to me that much. And I think whether I'm in using Apple Music or Spotify, if the song's good, then I'm like comfortable. I didn't like Apple Music because of no, I love Apple Music. The quality is amazing, so don't get me wrong. It's the app itself. It loads significantly longer, at least for me, from what I've tried versus Spotify. When I open my Rivian, the music is automatically playing versus Apple Music. If the car's off and I open the door and it turns on, it'll be like a good 20 seconds before the song starts playing and it like loads. Same thing with loading music. So if you're searching a song and you pick a song, it'll take a little longer. What I've noticed, the search is horrible, but that actually has nothing to do with like kind of within the connection between Apple Music and Rivian. It just has to do with Apple Music because apparently Apple Music's search sucks in Apple Music as well.
It does. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
that. It's I guess also the queue. So I guess Apple, instead of queue like Spotify, it uses a play next and play last. And so there was no queue button added to when you're selecting a song. So if you have a playlist or a list of songs and you want to queue something up, you can't. You just have to wait and play that. Like there's no queue. You have to search that song, press it, and then if you want something else next, you have to scroll, wait, and press it. And I think it's really something to do with Apple Music, the sound. It has to do with the usability in the app that I didn't like. But other than that, Apple Music is like absolutely amazing. So I didn't want to like sound negative and end it on like a horrible note.
No,
But
I can definitely go off on the Apple Music app as well. Like, I don't like the fact that it takes at least 4 to 6 hours for it to sync with your actual Apple Music library. And here's a perfect segue. So I on Twitter and X, we had the hashtag Vans for Hilby. So anytime somebody saw an Amazon EDV, they took a picture of it, tag hashtag Vans for Hilby, and it was Chad Moran that was doing or donating to Chris Hilbert, the charity of his choosing. I think it was the Seattle. No, that's this one. I don't remember what it was. I don't have it in front of me. This is kind of like
Gigi's
off the cuff
Playhouse.
right now.
So
Gigi's Playhouse. That's it. Good job. So in order to thank Chris for doing that, Chad is now doing something called, or not flip that. Chris is now doing one called Songs for Chad, and basically he started this when the update dropped and people started posting stuff that they were listening to in Apple Music that was Dolby Atmos encoded. Now we have the hashtag Songs for Chad, and yeah, Chris is going to be donating to this one. I think is the Humane Society of Seattle. Is that right?
Yes.
Or something? Okay, perfect. Yeah, I got it right. But anyway, so people were requesting a playlist of all the songs that were getting tagged, and that's kind of started to like spark this whole other conversation. But long story short, I ended up taking it upon myself to contribute back to the community, if you will. I created the playlist, and so it's got right now it has 40 songs on it, which is awesome, and it grows every day. I'll just keep checking the hashtag and manually adding them, but it hasn't shown up in my car yet. I started the playlist today. Today is August 18th, and I made it this morning, and as of 2 hours ago it still wasn't available in Apple Music in my car. So I don't like that. There are periods of time as well where the cover art doesn't show up on the now playing screen, and that's how I usually can identify like what the song is, because I have horrible eyesight anyway. So like my eyes are good for driving, just not for reading the text while I'm driving, before people get crazy. But that's how I can identify the song, because I'm really good with like visual things. So if I can see the picture, then I know what it
Right.
is. If I've never heard the artist or whatever before, or if I have and I just didn't recognize the song or whatever. But yeah, so 9 times out of 10 right now, it's not loading for me, even though I have like full LTE on the cellular antenna, like the whole thing. So yeah, a couple of little bugs, and then like you mentioned too, like it's slow, but at least it works. Anybody that owns a Tesla that has Apple Music can attest to the fact that that app never works. There were days that I went through where like I would go back to it, because I would use Tidal in my Tesla as well. But every once in a while, I'd want to use Apple Music, and because like if I had a playlist that I wanted to listen to, or if I added a song to my phone or an album, and didn't feel like searching for it, so like I'd be using Tidal, switch to Apple Music, and it would still be stuck with the spinning wheel. So it's light years ahead of that app. So say what you will about Tesla software and their hardware compared to Rivian. I can just see the comments in the YouTube video now, like getting destroyed. But yeah, it's a little bit faster and it's a little bit more stable, it feels like. But yeah, obviously this is a version 1 of this, and
Right.
hopefully Rivian is listening. I almost said Tesla. Hopefully Rivian is listening, and they take note and can fix it. So
Yeah, that would be. I mean, I'll say in my own video, and I'll say here, and I've said on Twitter, it's just software, and so I imagine in a software update, a lot of this can be changed. As I also said, I think some of it's on Apple's side, and so Apple will have to do some things to kind of make it just better. But yeah, it's the playlist. I'll say, so the playlist is kind of funny because it's just a giant group of all of the songs that people have hashtagged songs for Chad. And I'll say, admittedly, I purposely picked the most like deranged, like gangster music
I
to add
noticed.
on this playlist. I thought this would be funny. Like maybe people won't take notice, but I'm like, this is just perfect. And so the playlist is so funny because it'll just be like Sabrina Carpenter, and then like Lil Durk, and
Yep.
then it'll be like just Pink
Public
Floyd,
Enemy, and then the
yeah,
soundtrack from The Greatest Showman. I'm just like, this is awesome.
yeah. It's like the most absolutely wild playlist, but I'll link it in the description if you want to check it out. Pretty funny. But if you want to
Yeah.
join, just hashtag songs for Chad. You can at Chad Moran, and yeah, it's the playlist is hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking through it right now. It starts off with Public Enemy, Imagine Dragons, Pooh Society. But these are your songs. Somehow it ended up with like the Gladiator soundtrack, and then it's the Coco soundtrack, Circle of Life from Lion King, One Republic. There's The Greatest Showman. It's got a song from Kids Bop on it.
Absolutely, yeah, it's absolutely like it's nuts. But it's Pooh Society. That kind of made me laugh. No, it's Pooh Shiesty.
Okay, I can't see.
It's a Gen Z thing now. People.
Oh yeah, it is. I can't. I could not see that. Oh
Yeah,
shit!
but
I don't want to play
people
it.
are adding me playing the same song, and it's so stupid.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's great, and it's funny, and it could be any song. Doesn't have to be Dolby Atmos encoded. I'm not discriminating, even though I think the rules of the game where it had to be Atmos. So, but yeah, go check it out. There's a link in the show notes and on the video. So, subscribe to it or add it to your library, and then you'll get updates whenever I add more songs to it as songs get tagged.